Hey guys, how y'all doing today? It's Barb with Halfway to Sane. So how's all my sane people doing today? So I have a story, well, several stories. We'll see how long they take. But I have several stories that have to do with people who have been in prison for very long periods of time who have been exonerated due to DNA evidence. So like I said, I have a couple of them here. I'll see where my time is at. I compiled them together to make a little bit longer video, but if it's too long, I don't want you guys sitting and complaining because I'm making videos that are too long. So let me know what you like. You like the short ones, or if you like the long ones, or you like the ones in between. And do me a favor. Ignore that crap that's in the background. I just moved not that long ago and I have yet to put everything away, and all my boxes are still there. I have to find a place to put them. So, there's two brothers who spent 25 years in prison for a woman's murdered, and they have been exonerated. Two Wisconsin brothers who spent the last 25 years in prison after being wrongfully convicted of killing a woman in 1987 have been released after DNA evidence tied the murder to another suspect, who was 69-year-old David Bintz, and his younger brother, 68-year-old Robert Bintz, were sentenced to life in prison in the year 2000 after prosecutors say they killed 44-year-old Sandra Lyson, who was a mother of two. Sandra's body was found near a trail, I'm going to butcher this name, near a trail in the Pochaiapon forest on August 4th, 1987, by a couple of horseback riders. Now, detectives noticed Sandra's slip and nylons had been removed and most of the buttons on her dress were undone, and they determined she had been beaten, strangled, and sexually assaulted. Semen was recovered from Sandra's body via vaginal swabs and from her dress, which also had been stained with some blood. The DNA evidence did not match either of the Bintz brothers, according to the Wisconsin Innocence Project. Prosecutors alleged at the Bintz trial that the two killed Sandra during a robbery at the Good Time Taverns. Now, Good Time Taverns is where she worked, and the Bintz brothers had been in that bar where she worked the night before she disappeared. Or should I say the night she disappeared. They supposedly went in and got a case of beer and a pack of smokes, and they argued with her because they felt that they were being overcharged for the beer. So prosecutors had thought, due to that argument and no one else was being found, that they charged those two brothers with murder. Prosecutors also depended on testimony from David Blitz's cellmate in a jail where he had been serving time for an unrelated crime. The cellmate told guards about nightmares that David Blitz was having and claimed he yelled, "Make sure she's dead," in his sleep. The cellmate also said David Bintz later admitted to helping his brother kill Sandra, and in their closing argument at the Blitz's trial, prosecutors argued that it is clear that this was not a sexual assault, and that there is no evidence to suggest the person who left the semen also killed Sandra. In 2023, the Great North Innocent Project, with the help of the Investigative Genetic Genealogy Center at New Jersey's Romero College, found at the scene belonged to another man. His name was William Joseph Hendricks. Hendricks, who is now deceased, had been convicted of similar crimes. Brothers were released on Wednesday, September 25, 2024, following a hearing. The judge told the court that Sandra Lyson will rest in peace because her true killer is now known. So when asked how the brothers could have been sentenced to life in prison despite the lack of evidence, the district attorney said that officials followed the evidence that they had at the time and that conviction was sound. Well, all they're admitting to as far as evidence is the fact that the two were in the bar the night that she disappeared. That doesn't constitute murder. Robert Bintz's attorney said in an email that he and his colleagues are thrilled with Robertson's vacation. It is an injustice that can never fully be corrected, but we are glad to have obtained this relief when we are able so that he can enjoy the freedom that should have never been taken away from him. James Mayer of the Great North Innocent Project has launched a GoFundMe to help Robert Bintz rebuild his life after 25 years in prison. Now, the last time that I looked at that GoFundMe, they were requesting like $10,000, and they had raised a little over $6,000 at that point. I do believe that GoFundMe is still open if anybody wants to go ahead and donate anything for him. The innocent exonerees like Bobby came out of prison with almost nothing. No savings, no bank account, no driver's license, no credit, no rental history, no recent employment history, and nowhere to live. All this to go with the trauma of a quarter century of wrongful imprisonment. The judge said, "It is therefore my bounded duty to exercise and follow the law, well satisfied that I will sign judgments vacationing the victim convictions in both of these for both of these defendants and set them free." So I feel like there's a lot more people that are going through this, back when testing wasn't like it is today. I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of people that have been imprisoned that are innocent, and there's so many. I don't think the Innocent Project can really keep up with everybody. So, if you do get picked, you need to cherish that. And hopefully those that get picked are the ones that are really, really imprisoned for the wrong reasons. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give you another story. We're pretty good on time here. And the Missouri death row inmate with DNA evidence on his side gets last-ditch hearing to save his life. A death row inmate in Missouri is currently fighting for his life, as experts say new DNA evidence proves his innocence of a 1998 murder just weeks before he faces execution. Marce Williams, 55 years old, was sentenced to death in 2001 for fatally stabbing well-known St. Louis Post-Dispatch reporter Felicia Gale. On August 11, 1998, Felicia Gale was stabbed 43 times with a kitchen knife in a brutal attack in her home in St. Louis suburb of University City. One day after her murder, police seized Williams' car and discovered a St. Louis Post-Dispatch branded ruler inside. Police later found a laptop belonging to Felicia's husband at the home of a man named Glenn Roberts, who claimed that Williams had given it to him. At the time, prosecutors alleged that Williams killed the 42-year-old during a burglary at Felicia's home and left the house with a bloodied shirt, her purse, and her laptop. At his trial, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. Now, he's scheduled to be executed on September 24, 2024, but 20 years on from the murder, Marce Williams continues to claim his innocence and is fighting to have his conviction overturned. Williams' lawyers, his prosecuting attorney, are presenting DNA evidence for the first time, which they say shows him could not have been the killer. In a 63-page motion filed by the prosecuting attorney, they argue that Williams was wrongfully convicted because the case rested entirely on testimony from two informants, who was Laura Asaro and Williams' former girlfriend, and Henry Cole, a prison inmate who was previously behind bars with Williams, that there is no evidence linking Williams to the crime scene. Specifically, bloody footprints, hair, and fingerprints found at the scene do not belong to Williams. No one saw him there. None of the physical evidence puts him there. It was not him who wielded the knife. Williams was convicted mainly on the testimony of two unreliable informants. The motion claims calling them known liars who faced their own legal troubles and were incentivized by a $10,000 reward offered by Felicia's family. The murder weapon was tested in 2016, and 3 DNA experts have said that it cannot be traced back to Williams. Other forensic evidence from the scene also does not link to Williams. While the attorneys are fighting to prove his innocence, Missouri Attorney General has sought to squash the legal battle. Williams has previously come close to execution twice, once in 2015 and once in 2017. And I do believe, guys, that he did lose his battle of trying to save his life. I do believe he was put to death just a few days ago. Let's move on. We're doing pretty good in time here, so we can get another story or two in here. This story, DNA leads to arrest of suspect in 1982 murder of a teen girl. Police in Northern California announced the arrest of a man in the 42-year-old case of rape and murder of a teen girl, saying that relatively new DNA technology points to the subject. Now, James Unick, 62 years old, was booked into Sonoma County Jail on suspicion of murder, rape, lewd acts with a minor by forced kidnapping for molestation and special circumstance allegation of murder during a kidnapping, according to inmate records. Boy, that was a mouthful. Sarah Ann Gear, who was 13 years old, was found murdered in downtown Cloverdale. She had been abducted and raped. Evidence containing DNA was collected, but technology wasn't advanced enough to use it to track down a suspect until recent years. A male DNA profile was identified from the evidence and through the use of modern DNA genetic technology. The popularization of consumer kits for DNA trait and heritage tracking has created huge databases for police to compare evidence in DNA. Likewise, detectives can look at a database of suspects, defendants, and convicted criminals ordered to submit DNA to find close matches that may lead them to relatives. With genealogy, investigators might not get an exact hit, but they can get close enough to establish whether a suspect may be among a group of siblings or relatives. Now, this can lead to surveillance and covert operations to collect discarded food, cups, and eating implements from a possible suspect in their quest for an exact DNA match. Police started considering reopening the cold case of Sarah Ann in 2019, and in July 2021, they made it official as they hired a private investigative firm to help. Investigators hoped the latest technological advancement would shed new light on Sarah Ann's death. You get a pool of people and chip away at the folks who are there. Then you investigate and see if they were alive, if they had the ability to commit the crime, and if they were of age. Detectives also blamed social media rumors about her case for making the probe more difficult. Misleading information posted on social media has already threatened to jeopardize the integrity of the investigation moving forward. On Tuesday, July 23, 2024, Mayor Todd said in a statement, "Today, we stand united in solidarity with the Gear family as we witness the culmination of years of hard work and perseverance by our own law enforcement officials. This arrest signifies not only a step towards closure, but also a reiteration of our commitment to ensuring safety and justice for all in Cloverdale. While nothing can undo the pain inflicted upon the Gear family and our community, we can finally offer some solace in knowing that the perpetrator will be held accountable. This arrest is a testament to the dedication of our law enforcement agencies and the unwavering resolve of Cloverdale citizens. So, last one. So, death row inmate found innocent. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals has declared former death row inmate Harry Max Cook innocent of the 1977 murder of Linda Jo Edwards. He was exonerated by the state's highest criminal court on June 19, 2024. The prosecutors in Smith County, East Texas, accused Cook of rape, murder, and mutilation of a 21-year-old woman in 1977 and then again in 1978. Linda, who worked as a secretary in the city of Tyler, Texas, was found in her bedroom by her roommate, mutilated, and on the floor of her apartment. The conviction was subsequently overturned, and he was tried for a second time in 1992, and although the second attempt was declared a mistrial, Harry Cook stood trial for a third time in 1994, concluding with a new conviction and death sentence. However, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals reversed the verdict on the grounds of alleged misconduct by police and prosecutors that had tainted the case from the start. In 1999, Jack Skeen Jr., the Smith County District Attorney at the time, tried to make Harry Cook stand trial for a fourth time, but instead settled for a plea deal, as part of which he was released from prison following a sentence of time served. However, his conviction was still counted as valid. This means that until June 19th's declaration, Harry Cook had been classified as a murderer by the state of Texas for about 47 years for a crime he did not commit. Judge Burt Richardson wrote in the majority opinion on June 19th, "This case is riddled with allegations of state misconduct that warrant settling aside conviction." And when it comes to a solid support for actual innocence, the case contains it all uncontroverted Brady violations, proof of the false testimony, admissions of perjury, and new scientific evidence. It is alarming that for more than 4 decades, some of those charged with pursuing that justice for Linda have actually obstructed the search for the truth of what really happened that night. The state's highest criminal court also brought significant allegations of prosecutorial misconduct on June 19th, including the fact that the prosecution illegally withheld favorable evidence from Harry Cook's defense team during the 1978 trial. Furthermore, the court also found much of the evidence presented by the prosecution to be false. The witnesses called by the prosecution at the time included a jailhouse snitch who supposedly met Harry Cook at the Smith County Jail and testified that Harry had confessed to the murder of Linda Edwards. He had to get his 2 seconds of fame in there, get his name in there, right? However, the witness later confessed that he had given false testimony to save himself. The prosecution had lowered the witness's first-degree murder charge to voluntary manslaughter in return for the testimony, a fact the prosecutors never revealed. Harry Cook had spent around 2 decades on death row for a crime he didn't commit. He always emphasized his innocence. He suffered immensely for nearly 50 years, and nothing can give him his life back. Ain't the truth, man? 50, can you imagine 50 years being locked up for something you didn't do? 50 years is more than half your lifespan, because most people don't live to be 100 years old. So you're put away for more than half your life, and there's nothing you can do. That's very scary, very scary. And although our DNA testing now has come a long way, I'm still certain there's many, many, many more people who are still being put away who are innocent. And how long will they have to sit before they are able to save their butt from not being executed, living their entire life behind bars, never seeing the light of day again? I mean, I couldn't imagine. Carrie Max Cook was born in 1956 in Stuttgart, West Germany, and he moved to Texas with his family in 1972. After serving over 20 years on death row, he has become an activist against the death penalty, speaking across the U.S. and Europe. Harry Cook wrote a book called Chasing Justice, which was published in 2008, that details his conviction, the widespread prosecutor abuses which led to it, and the battle to prove his innocence. The book depicts his struggles against all odds to free himself from an inept justice system that would not let go. Despite the mounting evidence of his innocence, what is perhaps most amazing is the grace with which he now lives his life as a free man, determined to prevent others from suffering the horrors he endured. Harry Cook and his lawyer have filed a motion to perform DNA tests on physical evidence found at the murder scene. His attorney also filed a motion to recuse Judge Jack Skeen, the former district attorney who prosecuted Cook's first two trials, as the judge would be the one to hear the DNA testing motion. On April 19, 2012, Judge John Overd of Dallas granted Carrie Cook's request for DNA testing. So, 4 very short stories. Let me know what you think about them. Leave your comments or questions down below. I'll be more than happy to go through them and answer them. Or maybe you have better information on what I put out there. You go ahead and tell me. I'd love to be able to discuss that with you. But do me a favor, please subscribe to my channel. Hit that thumbs up button and that notification bell so that you can be notified the next time that I do upload a new video. And until then, folks, peace.